I mean, read the room, lady. Read the room.
Meghan has shown once again how out of touch with reality she is. She made a speech at the Invictus Games that got her into seriously hot water. And on top of that, she even arrived late to the games. But what exactly did she say in her speech that was so bad? Let's get into it. At this point, it's pretty obvious what kind of person Meghan is. She's always trying to portray this perfect image and act in a way that she thinks will make people like her. But unfortunately, most of the time, she's not actually very good at it, and sometimes the things she does and says are just really unfortunate, like the speech she made recently at the Invictus Games in Germany. At first, it wasn't even clear if she would be at the games at all, because she wasn't there at the beginning when Harry was opening the event with his own speech. She actually arrived a full 3 days late, and she made probably the worst speech she could have possibly come up with. She didn't actually mention the athletes competing at the games at all, and if you don't know, the Invictus Games is all about veterans who got injured in service and are disabled now. But at a difficult time in their lives, they picked up a sport, and this event is an opportunity for them to compete in that sport. And obviously, they also get to connect with others who have similar experiences. Overall, the Invictus Games is a really good and wholesome thing, but Meghan just didn't go into that in her speech at all. She instead decided to explain why exactly it was that she was late to the event. At the start of her speech, she actually apologized for being late to the party. That's the exact word she used, by the way, but she didn't actually sound sorry for being late. The whole apology just did not seem genuine. It sounded more like a segue into what she actually wanted to talk about, which was apparently how before she left, she went to get milkshakes for her kids. And I'm sure we're probably all thinking the same thing. What an incredibly random topic to bring up at an Invictus Games speech. What she said was that she was late to the games because she was taking extra time at home to care for her kids. And one of the things she apparently did was a milkshake run before she dropped her kids off at school. And I mean, there are just so many things about this that make no sense at all. First of all, Meghan's kids definitely don't go to school yet. Archie is 4 years old and Lilibet is 2. Archie is probably going to start school next year, but that's still a year away. And Lilibet is an actual toddler. She is too young even for preschool. I guess that Meghan could have been talking about dropping Archie off at preschool, but let's move on to the next issue, which is that another thing the kids are too young for is milkshake. And again, for Archie at 4 years old, it might be fine to drink a milkshake, but remember that Meghan said it was in the morning before the school run. So presumably that means Archie had a whole drink with a bunch of sugar in it right before she handed him off to someone else to watch. And I mean, of course, Meghan wouldn't actually face the consequences for her actions, but Lilibet is way too young for milkshakes anyway. And the other thing is, who actually has time to get milkshakes for their kids in the morning before school? It just looks like Meghan is trying to be relatable again, but she just isn't. She's trying to seem like this modern mom character, but she's just getting it all wrong, because in reality, she doesn't live that kind of life. She was seemingly trying to make a speech sound unscripted, like she didn't actually prepare for it and just improvised on the spot, but it didn't actually really sound like that. It was really obvious that she knew exactly what she was going to say, and really, she was banking on getting points in people's minds for being a good mom. But it's not just all the details that don't make sense. None of this explains why she was a whole 3 days late to the game. I mean, a spontaneous morning milkshake run could make her maybe a few hours late, not 3 days. But it actually doesn't make any sense why she was late at all. Kids usually have to be at school at a set time in the morning. And even though we established that it's preschool we're talking about here, they still have a set drop-off time. You can't just bring kids a few hours late because you took them to get milkshakes. And also, Meghan lives in California. It's not like she can just pop over to Germany between dropping off her kids at preschool and her afternoon errands. She had to take a flight to get there, and flights from California to Germany take a minimum of 10 hours. And it's not like flights will just wait a few hours for you when you're late. Although I guess she could have taken a private jet, and that one might actually wait for her. But even private jets have to adhere to a departure schedule at the airport. And in any case, none of this explains why she was a full 3 days late. It's pretty obvious that she wasn't actually late by accident, despite what she said in her speech. It must have been the plan from the beginning that she wouldn't arrive for the start of the games and would only join a couple days in. And a lot of people have been saying that there might actually be a pretty good reason for that, because the Invictus Games are mostly Harry's thing, not so much Meghan's. He's the one who established the games back in 2014, so it makes sense that at first it would be just him at the games and Meghan would join a few days later, because as soon as she did arrive, the whole situation wasn't just about Harry anymore. Meghan stole most of the spotlight, but because she arrived late, Harry had actually gotten his moment of glory before. So it didn't matter so much that Meghan stole the attention away from him later. This might have actually been a pretty good setup for the two of them, and it probably ended up working in the way they intended. But actually, this whole thing is a huge problem in itself, because all Harry and Meghan seem to be thinking about is themselves. How much time in the spotlight does each of them get, and how can they use the games as an opportunity to improve their public image? It looks like they kind of lost sight of the actual point of the Invictus Games, because this event should never be about Meghan or even Harry. It should be about the veteran athletes first and foremost. This is their one time to shine, and they've trained really hard for it, and all that anyone is talking about now is Harry and Meghan. But more importantly, all that Meghan is talking about is herself. She basically said one sentence about family and community, and then it was straight to chatting about her milkshake run. It honestly seemed pretty disrespectful to the athletes. I mean, these people have fought in wars and their lives were permanently changed because of that. I just don't think milkshake runs are going to be relatable to them. That's probably the last thing they worry about in their lives, actually. The game should be their moment to shine, and it's also an important opportunity for them to gain visibility and raise funds from sponsors, which is definitely not the easiest thing to do. So they need Harry and Meghan to make the event all about them, but that's definitely not what Meghan was doing with her speech. But anyway, what do you guys think about all this? What's your opinion on Meghan's "sorry I'm late, I was buying milkshake" speech? Let me know in the comments below.